Dallas has just been on a tear. I believe we can attribute that to Jason Robertson. Also, Jake Ottinger, who's really stepped in.
Yeah, so we can compare a rookie QB to a toddler. Hayward's absence for this game will be significant, and I wouldn't be surprised if this game turns into a blowout as of late.
The Golden Knights just can't pull it. I really think the Avalanche are determined this year.
They made so many moves and grabbed so many guys that they have to win a championship or at least make the finals. They were on our championship and bust.
The same self, the only year he won an MVP was the year he cheated, which really should put something against that MVP. But
yeah, and as a Cowboys fan, I have learned how dangerously good Aaron Rodgers has been with he can just thread a pass.
Hello, I am Ruby Ackerman, and you are listening to Outsider's Opinion with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week, reviewing our mock draft. And the man that's team traded, the man that predicted Jordan Poole going to the Wizards, Austin.
Yeah, unfortunately, Kevin, that does not give me any extra points. But I am excited that we ended up getting that trade, and it will benefit us in the future. I really wish I could have stuck to I'm glad I changed my mock draft at the very end, but that's not the one we're reviewing. You obviously won, or not obviously, but you won 6-5. I'll give you some props.
Thankful to my Mavs that did way more than I expected them to do.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I still think you guys should have taken Whitmore over Lively, but
Whitmore, I wouldn't have been opposed to Whitmore. The main thing, like I said, I was happy with trading back. They dumped Bertans, and I don't really get the Whitmore side. Apparently, there were hustle issues or something like that, or something with medicals.
I don't get it. It just seems like excuses to me, and I think that the Rockets getting him will be a crazy steal.
I do agree because the Rockets taking him. I thought the Warriors were going to take him. Like, this seems like a Warriors or Heat pick, but Rockets take him at 20. Yeah. But I love what the Mavs did because they traded back, which is what I was a huge fan of. Yeah, I was a huge fan of what they did, and it was trading back, and I like the Lively pick. I'm curious what you were saying before.
I don't like the Lively pick because you traded for Holmes. I just feel like that's overdoing it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. What do you think? Because I view Lively more long term. Do you get what I'm saying?
I guess, but he can't set screens. I don't know how he flows into the offense that the Mavs have. He seems like he's just going to be standing doing nothing while Luka dribbles the ball or Kyrie just dribbles the ball around. He can't stand in the corner or anything. Him at the block is not that useful. And like I said, he struggles setting screens in college. So I don't really know what his role is going to be offensively.
Okay, for this year, I think it's just going to be him defensively. I don't.
But you have to be somewhere on offense, or it's a 4v5.
I think he's going to be a rim. He's from what I've heard, and I kind of agree with. But you do mention he doesn't really set screens well. It's kind of the Dwight Powell role.
But Dwight Powell's entire existence is based on the fact that he can set screens. So I don't understand. He can't be the Dwight Powell.
So I think they're going to work on getting him to screens, but I view it more as the future because I don't think he's going to be the starting center, and Holmes will probably be the starting center or Dwight Powell if he resigns.
But the problem with Holmes is that he didn't even play. Like, he's been out of the league basically for 2 years because they just decided that Sabonis is better. For a year and a half, he's been basically out of the league. Ever since they traded for Sabonis, he's not even been in the rotation. They chose Chimeze Metu as the backup center in Sacramento over him, which I think is not a great sign. I mean, I still think he can be good, but
this is how I view Holmes. Is Davis Bertans. Davis Bertans' role was basically he would just be like a shooter. And I can see Holmes in the rotation.
It doesn't worry you at all that a playoff team decided that he wasn't worth being their backup?
I think that is something to be concerned about. But I also view it as like us taking him in then that trade landed us 24 and got us another young player, which I'm happy with. Even
Yeah,
if
because
Omax, yeah,
Holmes played 42 games this year, but only 8 minutes a night. So he only played when they were up by a lot and the game was over, effectively.
yeah,
He was basically out of the league this year.
but like Davis Bertans didn't really do anything much for the Mavs, and I feel Holmes has a better chance to contribute on the Mavs than Davis Bertans could.
Does it not worry you that his contract goes longer than Davis? That I think is the reason why they took the trade. Is that Holmes wasn't playing for them, and his contract
And they wanted
longer.
to get off the cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe if he does really bad, then he's kind of in similar Davis Bertans role. And
Except
it's
for his
just like-
contract is longer.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. So his contract's
But
a
it
little bit
got
less.
me-
Davis is around 17,
yeah,
but Holmes is around. Let me
Isn't
check.
it 12?
12. It's 12. It's 11 next year, or it's
Yeah.
actually 11 this year, but it's 12 next year, and then 12.8 the year after,
oh, he
or
is a
actually
year after, too.
12.9. But it's a player option, which he will accept for the 23-20. Being for the 24-25 season.
But my main thing is it got us another asset, which is something I think the Mavs severely lacked. Which is why I was key on trading.
It's only
the
an
10
asset
pick.
if he plays.
Well, no, I'm viewing the asset. I'm talking about Omax as an asset.
Oh. Well,
Like, so the Mavs got 2 assets. I don't really view Holmes as an asset. Holmes because
Just-
of the contract.
disregarding Luka because he is an outlier. When is the last time the Mavs used a rookie very much?
That's fair. And I do think it's kind of hard to tell with the regime because it was a different regime then.
But even this year with Hardy, they didn't play him that much.
Yeah. But you started to see playing at the end.
But that was when you guys were tanking. Does it count? I mean, I guess it does
That's-
count, but it was tanking at the end of the year. I almost feel like they played him to do worse.
Well, yeah, they made I don't see a huge role for Lively this upcoming year. I would guess Omax plays more than Lively.
But
Maybe
again,
Lively. Yeah,
either of
what was
them
that?
playing significant minutes would mean a lot more than we've seen from a rookie in a long time. Besides Luka again.
Yeah, that's fair. I totally agree. And when Luka was playing, it was like when the Mavs were just terrible.
Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of like I said, a Hardy at the end of the year. It was the Mavs
Yeah.
tanking.
And so the thing for me is these Lively and Omax probably not going to do much this year. But next year, the Mavs cleared up a lot of cap space with the Bertans moves, what I like. To me, they're balancing well on being competitive now, but also being competitive in the future.
But again, you could lose Kyrie because I don't know if he. Oh, we'll see if he sees the vision. If he-
We'll see. But the thing is, I care more about Luka, and they have cap space to where they could sign someone, or they can use the assets they got to go trade for someone.
They only gained a little tiny bit in cap space because they got Rashawn Holmes.
Well, yeah, but if Kyrie leaves,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
then they can maneuver, and they can gain more stuff back, or they could go trade. Because the Mavs assets before this trade, before draft night, they had the 10 pick. They had Jaden Hardy and Josh Green. And Maxey, are there any other assets? I guess Maxey's an asset.
What's your definition of an asset?
Someone that someone would want in a trade to get a good player.
Tim Hardaway.
Okay, Tim Hardaway. Okay, I'm okay, but like Davis Bertans was not an asset.
You would say Hardaway is though, right?
Yeah, I see Hardaway. Someone would probably want Hardaway, but I feel Hardy and the 10 pick and Josh Green were like those are young guys. They could impact our team in the future. Those are like main assets, and so you kept Tim Hardaway. You got rid of a guy who wasn't really an asset because of his contract. And taking on someone else who isn't an asset, you got another asset in Omax. I'm saying asset a ton. But they basically added 2 assets in Lively and Omax. I wouldn't really trade them, but sometimes you have to trade people.
Yeah, and they're only really assets if they play. But we can kind of get into
Oh, yeah.
the draft. Here.
That-
We don't really
but-
have to.
Yeah, that's what I loved about the Mavs trade. And I'm not going. I like Lively's potential, but it could go wrong. I like Omac's potential. It could go wrong. But yeah, let's get into
I
it.
just don't like that they picked up Rashawn Holmes. I guess you have
Okay.
to get the 10.
Yeah,
get-
that's how you get Omax. So I view it as a deal. That's
But
what
but
you have
again,
to do.
losing Davis isn't this huge plus when you get Rashawn Holmes. It's not that big of a plus, especially if Holmes doesn't play. Because like I said, he was effectively out of the league last year.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. To me, the Davis trade enabled them to take Holmes, which led them to take Omax or take that pick.
Yes, but I'm saying losing Davis isn't a huge plus when you gain Holmes.
That's fair. I say it's a plus because we got Omax in that deal. We got
Yeah.
another.
Well,
young
again,
player.
he has to actually perform. But I do agree that I'm Omax has potential. He's one of the older guys. I could see his role. I've seen him compared in draft comparisons to Dorian Finney-Smith. We'll see if that actually becomes a thing. But I think what really makes this trade won or loss is really what happens to.
Lively, which
Well, I
I
mean,
like
those
what
are two
happens-
different trades, but what
But
really
yeah.
makes these trades how good they are is
how,
I
how
would
could
argue
these guys
Holmes.
turn out.
because again, you'd have to pay him an extra year because he's obviously going to take his player option. Because pay $13 million when you don't even play is definitely a plus. But let's go into
Yeah.
the rest of the draft. We don't really have to talk about Wembanyama at 1. That was
That's pretty good.
a clear.
This one,
How do you feel
talking
about
about fit.
Scoot versus Brandon Miller? Miller going above Scoot. I think it's a huge mistake.
They're basically going for fit. I would have drafted Scoot because if you want to look at, I think there's a huge thing with assets right now. You add Scoot and LaMelo Ball, and they're both great players, and then you could trade a guard and maybe get off salary with Terry Rozier.
Yeah.
I would have gone Scoot or trade out of the pick and get something else and still take Brandon Miller.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, if you were going to stay at 2, you take the second best player in the draft, who in my opinion was Scoot Henderson.
The best
And
player
then-
available.
Best player available, yeah. But I also think he's probably I think makes an argument for being the second best player in the class.
Yeah. I mean, yes, he definitely has. Yeah.
And then for the Blazers, I'm so glad the Blazers did what they did. They have young guys now, and you have Scoot. And then I didn't really watch Shaedon Sharp, but you have Shaedon Sharp. Apparently, they're trying to trade Anthony Simons. But I
Yeah.
love what they're doing. And then they have Dame. So they can be good if Dame decides to stay, or they can get more back in a Dame trade.
We saw what happened with Beal. Can you really?
Is there a no trade clause with Dame?
I would assume he'd have one, but I do not know.
We'll see. I'll Google it. I think Beal was the only one that had has a no trade clause.
Beal was, I think, the only one that had a full no trade clause. He's not the only one that has some sort of no trade clause.
Okay, so he has some. Unfortunately, Dame doesn't have a no trade clause to exercise, leaving him unsafe from being traded away. He does have leverage,
Yeah.
but even I still like what they have. So at least they get something for Dame, like picks,
Mhm.
which I like because they already have some solid foundations. Like you got Scoot, you have Shaedon Sharp, you have Anthony Simons. And they also, we'll get to it later, but I really like what they did. And not trading out of the 3 and trading to some of their younger guys to get something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we got Amon Thompson and Victor Wembanyama correct, both of us. Amon Thompson to the Rockets, I just don't like it. If I'm the Rockets, I want something surefire.
Yeah, if I were them, I probably would have gone with Taylor Hendricks, who ended up falling all the way to the Jazz at 9, which is a great pick for the Jazz. And, 5 is Azar Thompson, the brother of Amen. In my last mock draft I did predict that because I saw a lot of talk about that, but I don't really understand it again. And they have a lot to prove. And I really do think the success of these two players will determine how the OTE is viewed for probably the rest of its existence until maybe another great prospect comes out of there.
Yeah, and these were the only two guys that have been drafted by the overtime.
Well, because they just started.
Oh, okay, just started. Got it.
Yeah, I think last year was its first year.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll have to see. And Pistons, I would have gone for something sure here because I feel you could have a chance to compete. But if it works out with Osire, it does. But not really sure. Magic, I like Anthony Black. The only thing I didn't like was it ruined my chance for him to go to the Wizards.
Yeah, I like the pick. He's not. I know they have a lot of guards, but this is nothing like any guard they have. So I do like the pick.
And now here's something. How do you feel about this? The Wizards trading up to get Koulibaly.
Yeah, that definitely means that other teams wanted Koulibaly, and either the Pacers, out of generosity, called the Wizards, or the Wizards kind of got a sense from other people or why they were taking so long. So they traded up and got him. If that's their guy, that's their guy. I'm not against the pick. I really didn't want a couple guys, Azar Thompson, Amen Thompson, Lively, and some other guys. But if they believe in Koulibaly, I'm totally okay with the pick.
Yeah, it's a nice swing, and we'll just see how it works. Pacers got Jarris Walker, and they got stuff from the Wizards, so I feel that's good for them.
Yeah.
And then Jazz took Taylor Hendricks, which I was surprised. I thought they would go guard, but it makes sense. Like, Taylor Hendricks is a really nice player.
Yeah, I agree. Taylor Hendricks is one of the best talents I've seen go. I mean, he just has so much potential. His athleticism and everything. He went to UCF, which is already surprising because they weren't a great team last year. Didn't even make the tournament, but the Jazz drafting him, it's just a Jazz pick. I mean,
yeah,
the Jazz recently have been very good in the draft, and that does not change here.
Yeah, and him and Walker Kessler in the front court would be amazing. I was really upset because if the Mavs were going to stay at 10, I wanted Taylor Hendricks, and if he was available at 10, I wanted Taylor Hendricks.
Well, I mean, at 10, you guys had a player that you guys could have gone to.
And is that's Lively?
I was gonna go Whitmore.
Oh, Whitmore? Yeah. Yeah, it would have felt high for Whitmore. I mean, Lively at 10, but I liked the trade and how it worked out. And Cason Wallace with the Thunder, he's a guard, right? Or is he a forward?
He's a guard, but I like to pick for defensive reasons. Shea could play again. Basketball is becoming positionless, and Shea's such a good defender, and he's 6'6", 6'7". Cason, I think, is just a great player as well. That's selecting by best available. In their opinion, they thought Cason was the best available, and I don't really disagree with them. Whitmore, I'm really high on, but I'm also extremely high on Cason, so I understand that pick.
Yeah, and I think I was intrigued that they wanted Bertans, or that they took Bertans, but it isn't expiring. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, I understand why the Thunder did it because I believe that the Magic would have taken. I mean, would they have taken Cason?
Apparently, the Magic were going to trade, and the Thunder were worried that someone was going to take Cason Wallace.
Okay, then yeah, I definitely understand.
I'm glad they did it. And that's, I guess, how they got the 10, or maybe they wanted Davis. I'm not really sure. Magic, what are you doing? I would have gone Grady Dick. I don't really get Jet Howard here.
Jet Howard's another shooter, but Grady Dick is better at shooting by a wide margin. And if you wanted to be a little bit, you didn't like Grady Dick, just go Jordan Hawkins here. I don't think it's too high.
Yeah, and Jordan Hawkins is a shooter, and you need a shooter. Yeah, that just is weird to me. But now we get to 12, where the Mavs took Derek Lively. I feel we kind of talked about it. Or...
Yeah, we're good. We don't need to talk about it anymore.
Grady Dick to the Raptors, surprising, but they do need shooting. It's just surprising to me.
I like the pick. It maybe I didn't expect it, but I like it.
Yeah. I think I fall in the same boat because he's a shooter and it gives him a guard, and I'm just not sure what his development looks like. That's what I was.
Yeah, but I don't. I think the pick fits.
Yeah, the pick fits for that. And then Pelicans, Jordan Hawkins works. They got
Love the
shooting.
pick. Love it.
Yeah.
They already
Great.
have Trey Murphy and some other shooters, but getting another one, Hawkins is going to be good.
Kobe Buffkin at 15.
I thought this was low. By the time I did my final draft, I actually had Buffkin going to the Mavs at 10. But Buffkin is really good, and I like this pick for the Hawks.
Yeah. And then the next thing is 16 Kayonte George to the Jazz works. I like it.
Yeah, it's another Jazz-esque pick, and he could really become a talented player with them.
I feel they really just added some young prospects, and they were already good last year, and just see how well they do.
Yeah, they're going to get better.
17, Jalen Hood Schifino. I really like this point guard for the Lakers, no matter what they need a point guard.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. They need a point guard, and they decided to draft one. I'm not against it.
Okay, and then the Heat draft Jaime Jaquez. Is he a forward or a guard?
He's a forward. He could play shooting guard, but he's a forward.
Okay. But yeah, he's older. I think he can contribute to them now, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then 19 Warriors draft Brandon Podziemski.
Yeah, this one didn't make all that much sense because he's a point guard. I don't know why this was necessarily the pick. Because I thought Chris Paul would kind of fill in the Jordan Poole role, but maybe this guy does. I don't know. They also have Moody, who's a guard. They're making another trade. That's what this.
Yeah, I have a question.
like.
Can they just cut Chris Paul?
No,
Or no? Oh no,
not without paying.
Okay, I didn't know because I know it was a cost-saving move. I didn't know if they could cost more by cutting Paul or trading him.
They could
somewhere
still
else.
save some, but they'd have to pay him for doing nothing, which I don't think the Warriors are in a spot to do right now.
Okay. But this was like, I was like, okay. I was like, I thought they would go Cam Whitmore. That seemed to make the most sense to me, or someone else, or trade out of the pick. But yeah, Rockets taking Cam Whitmore. It's just weird that he fell this far. And with the Rockets, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You have a billion other picks.
Also, at this level of the draft,
Yeah.
you can't pass on him. And I thought a lot of teams couldn't pass on him, but you have to take him here.
Yeah, and especially when you're in the Rocket shoes. Nets, I was surprised they went center.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised, but I understand. Clowney's a good player, and so I understand sort of, but I don't. And I mean, I can go right into the next pick with Dariq Whitehead.
Yeah.
I think this is a reach.
Okay.
Whitehead just scares me because he was hurt basically all last year. Maybe this is the thing. Whitehead was hurt all last year, and I think he goes way too high. But Cam Whitmore falls, and some of it may be injury related. I don't really understand.
Yeah, and with Noah Clowney, I think he will be a good player. It's just I would have gone for a good player in a different position. I would have gone for a good player at guard.
Maybe they were drafting best available, and that's who they thought was the best.
Yeah, and like it could work out. Then Dariq Whitehead, yeah, I was kind of hoping they'd take Nick Smith, then I'd get points, but yeah, we'll just have to see. Duke carries that. Blazer took Chris Murray, another young guy. This is what I really like from the Blazers.
Great pick.
Yeah, and
they could not let him go back to the Kings. The Kings don't make that trade. The Kings don't make that trade.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, and then we've talked about Omax enough. I think we can go to Grizzlies. So is this is going to the Pistons? Marcus Sasser.
Yes, and I like this pick. I don't think it's a reach. I know this is going to the Pistons who already have some guards, but I think they're getting rid of Killian Hayes, and Sasser can do what Killian did and more.
Yeah, I thought Sasser would be a bit later, but it just because of the injury. But I like Sasser. I think he would have been a steal if he was drafted later.
I agree.
Okay, and then Ben Shepherd. I really don't know much about this pick.
I think it's a little high. Shepherd was a guy that I was not extremely high on, but he's a Belmont guy who I saw rising somewhat, but I wasn't extremely high. He's a good shooter though. Shot 6 threes a game, 41.5%. He went, like I said, he went to Belmont. I do think it's a little high though.
Yeah, I don't think we really had him going anywhere. Nick Smith, so the Hornets take a guard now, and I think it works. I just don't really get why they didn't take Scoot.
Yeah.
But Nick Smith, he seemed to fall to me. Nick Smith.
Yeah, he should not have fallen to 27. I do think he has a lot of potential.
Yeah. And then Bryce Sensabaugh of Jazz just taking a player. I think that should be good.
Yeah, and Sensabaugh is an NBA-ready body, so it's another guy that could come out and play some games.
And then Pacers, I didn't really have this guy getting picked. Well, but it goes to the Nuggets, so we'll see.
Strother is talented. Strother just needs to develop. This is a developmental pick.
Okay.
He's a good player. Again, he shot well from 3, but he has holes in his game. His defense needs to get better.
Okay, and then Kobe Brown, I was surprised going to the first pick, and I was a little bit mad because I'm a huge Kobe Brown fan. Him going to the Clippers hurts because, man, we'll have to wait till he gets traded to a different team. But I'm curious what your thoughts are on the pick.
He's a great offensive player, terrible defensive player.
Okay. I think he does all right defensively. The thing for me is his 3. He shot 45% this year. But the year before he shot like 20. That's so if he can get in between there, get to 35, and if he's a 40-point shooter, 40% 3-point shooter, because he does well other ways offensively. It's just
like I said, he's a great, or at least last year was a great offensive player. I just don't trust his defense right now or his rebounding.
Well, and I think so. He's 6'8". He's probably just going to turn into a small forward, right? Or is he going to be a power forward?
Depends on how the Clippers want to use him. I could see him playing either. He probably plays small forward at the beginning, but the Clippers like to play small ball at that 4 spot.
Okay. And because to me, with Mizzou, he really played almost like the center role, or the other center could shoot. But they didn't have that problem. He just was someone where guys didn't test him 3, and I think in the NBA, if he's not going to be the center, which he can't be, he's 6'8".
He could be. There's been 6'8" centers before. I mean, Rashawn Holmes is listed at 6'8".
Oh yeah, that's true. But yeah, I'm happy for him, and it's really good. And we'll see how it turns out. I like the pick. It's someone that can do well and can probably learn a lot.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's just the 3-point percentage is my big thing. That's all we got. Overall, not really that many trades. The Celtics just kept trading back, and there was really just the Mavs trade.
And the Wizards trading up.
Yeah, and the Wizards trading up. But yeah, we talked enough about the Mavs trade. But yeah, that's all we got. Anything else you would like to add?
No, I'm excited for this year.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.